A pilot posted this picture on social media. It shows the flight instruments of an ATR-42. Do you see anything unusual? Hi aviators, how are you? My name is Magnar Nordahl. I am an airline captain and instructor. In this video, I have a very important message to all of you aviators, and I ask you to share it with every pilot you know. Being an airline pilot is a big responsibility. Not only are you responsible for an aircraft worth millions of dollars, but more important, you are responsible for every person on board. Some days ago, a pilot posted this picture on social media. It shows the instrument of an ATR-42-500 cruising at 30,000 feet or flight level 300. This post triggers some wow comments because it sounds unbelievable that an ATR can fly that high. There were also comments pointing out that the aircraft is not certified for this. The point is, ATR aircraft are certified for maximum altitude of 25,000 feet. This is the Airplane Flight Manual AFM limitations. The manual is certified by the relevant aviation authority and forms the base for all other manuals used for this aircraft. Flying an ATR higher than 25,000 feet is a violation of the regulations, period. The author posted several comments to justify his actions. In his first statement he wrote, "Ceiling 250 is only due to oxygen mask for 10% pax. Flight level 300 cabin altitude is just below 10,000 feet. No. The requirement for passenger oxygen depends on many factors, such as national regulations and the operational environment. For example, if the aircraft is operated above high mountainous areas, you will need oxygen for all of the passengers. I have flown ATRs with such oxygen equipment." Then he wrote, "Ferry flight, no pax," which means no passengers. Great, but that is no excuse for breaking the rules. Next statement, read OPS 1770 and you'll understand why certification of ATR is 25,000. EU OPS is not about aircraft certification. EU OPS is about operational requirements, and OPS 1770 is about oxygen supply for crew and passengers. But there is an addition. Appendix 1 to OPS 1770, minimum requirements for supplemental oxygen for pressurized airplanes during and following emergency descent. It requires oxygen supply for all occupants on flight deck seats on flight deck duty for the entire flight time when the cabin pressure altitude exceeds 13,000 feet and the entire flight time when the cabin pressure altitude exceeds 10,000 feet but does not exceed 13,000 feet after the first 30 minutes at those altitudes, but in no case less than 1. 30 minutes for airplanes certified to flight altitudes not exceeding 25,000 feet. The ATR complies with this. 2 hours for airplanes certified to flight altitudes more than 25,000 feet. Even the ATR is not certified to this requirement, it might comply. Maybe. It depends on the pressure in the oxygen bottle and the number of persons in the cockpit. This page is from Limitations in FCOM, the Flight Crew Operating Manual. With 2 crew members in the cockpit, you may have enough oxygen. With 3 crew members in the cockpit, you may not. But that is not the point. Even when we have enough oxygen, we still don't comply with the certification requirements. The author wrote, sometimes certification is due to regulations. Of course, certification is always due to regulations. They are there to give you a safety margin, which you might need when things don't go as planned. Finally, he writes, as long as indicated airspeed is above whitebug plus 10, that is flap 0 speed plus 10 knots, and below VMO, maximum operating airspeed, I feel comfortable. Feeling comfortable doesn't mean you are safe. Without proper knowledge, you might never know how close you are to the edge. At this altitude, the speed limitation is not VMO, but MMO, critical Mach number. VMO is always 250 knots, but look at the VMO pointer. It shows 200, and that's MMO, which is Mach 0.55. Next statement. High level this topic. We have an expert in aircraft certification and Coffin Corner. Expert? Coffin Corner? Really? This aircraft is not even close to the Coffin Corner, which is the altitude where the stall buffet speed equals the maximum Mach number. An ATR will never get that high. And I really doubt this so-called expert knows the rules for aircraft certification. The certification requirements for ATR aircraft and all other large aircraft are found in EASA certification specifications. CS25 is equivalent to FAR 25. Now let's read CS25 841, Pressurized Cabins, Part A. Pressurized cabins and compartments to be occupied must be equipped to provide a cabin pressure altitude of not more than 2,438 meters, 8,000 feet, at the maximum operating altitude of the airplane under normal operating conditions. According to this pilot, the cabin pressure was almost 10,000 feet. I doubt his expert has read CS25. The regulation says, if certification for operation over 7,620 meters, 25,000 feet, is requested, the airplane must be able to maintain a cabin pressure altitude of not more than 4,572 meters, 15,000 feet, in the event of any reasonably probable failure or malfunctions in the pressurization system. ATR has not requested certification for operations of the aircraft over 25,000 feet, and therefore this requirement has not been demonstrated. The FAA goes further with Advisory Circular number 61-107B. As required by 14 CFR paragraph 6131, pilots who fly at altitudes at or above flight level 250 in a pressurized aircraft must receive training in the critical factors relating to safe flight operations under those circumstances. These critical elements include knowledge of the special physiological and/or aerodynamic considerations that should be given to high-performance aircraft operating in high-altitude environments. Okay, ATR is not a high-performance aircraft, but the words about high-altitude operations are still valid. In Chapter 2, there is a note. All pressurized aircraft have a specific maximum operating altitude, above which they must not operate. This maximum operating altitude is determined by flight, structural, power plant, functional or equipment characteristics. An airplane's maximum operating altitude is limited to 25,000 feet mean sea level or lower, unless certain airworthiness standards are met. Maximum operating altitudes and service ceilings are specified in the Airplane Flight Manual, AFM. And as I said, for ATR, this limitation is 25,000 feet. So it's very clear, isn't it? This table shows time of useful consciousness, TCU, or also called effective performance time, EPT. At 25,000 feet, the TCU is 3 to 5 minutes. At 30,000 feet, the time is reduced to 1 to 2 minutes. But if there is a rapid decompression, those times are reduced by 50%. And remember, those numbers are for people with a normal health. If you have a medical condition affecting your oxygen intake, or you are fatigued, or if you are a smoker, those times can be reduced further. Changing the altitude from 25,000 to 30,000 feet doesn't sound much, but as you can see, it can have a dramatic effect on your ability to think clearly and act before it's too late, especially when you don't have this knowledge. To sum it up, we pilots don't need to know much about the certification requirements for the aircraft we are flying. What we need to know are the operating limitations, and those limitations are the base for the certification of the aircraft. Therefore, if we go outside operation limitations, we will not know when this becomes bad. The regulations we have today are written in blood, literally. In the past, many pilots and even more innocent people were killed when the pilots exceeded limitations that were unknown to them. The regulations are made to protect us, to give us safety margins. Therefore, it's very disturbing that pilots on purpose exceed the limitations of the aircraft they are flying, and then they try to justify it. But this image reveals an even more shocking fact. This is the flight instruments on the right-hand side, the position of the first officer. But the pilot's epaulette has 4 stripes. He's a captain. Only first officer, line training captains and instructors are authorized to sit there. Most likely, this photographer is a typewriting instructor. Dear Captain, how can you teach pilots to respect the rules when you break them yourself? What you are showing us is the opposite of what any pilot is supposed to do. And as an instructor, you have a special responsibility for promoting flight safety. This makes me upset, sad, and angry. To my fellow aviators, this is not how we operate an aircraft. We don't need cowboys in this business. Have you heard about Pinnacle Airlines Flight 3701? This accident happened because 2 cowboys in the cockpit went too far and paid the ultimate price. Remember, most of us pilots are not aircraft designers or test pilots. Therefore, we might not know why a specific limitation is given for the aircraft we are flying. The engineer will know, the test pilot will know, but will we? I doubt it. Our responsibility is to stay inside the limitations. It's that simple. Okay? And that's all for this time. Please share this video with your friends because this can be a matter of life and death. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day and happy landing.